Hey everybody, it's Dottie back for another episode of Metaphysics and Makeup. I know that it's been a hot minute since we've been here, but in case you don't know, Metaphysics and Makeup, we talk about all the weird stuff that Bailey Sarian doesn't talk about. So yeah, let's get into it. Today, I honestly want to talk about shadow work. So, and if you don't know what shadow work is, I believe his name is Carl Jung. Don't quote me there, but you can look it up. Basically, your shadow is like all those icky parts of yourself that like we don't want to necessarily face. Sometimes we don't even know where they come from, but you can think of it like this. Like your shadow kind of stops you from being great at times. And I do apologize for any background noise you may hear. It's cooler weather. My neighbors are being my neighbors. If you've been here for a while, then you know what I mean. And if not, unfortunately, you might find out. But that being said, these are some of the darker aspects of yourself. And I wanted to do this in honor of the book that I'm working on, No Longer Running, which is my shadow work story and the processes that I use to kind of get through it. And basically everything that I've kind of been through that left like these big blotches on my life. So in just kind of a brief overview of how I even found shadow work, I found it by accident. I was not trying. I was going through a moment, right? And I decided I was gonna pray. Okay. I was gonna pray. I was gonna give thanks for everything that I had so that I could move forward. Yeah, no, and then Spirit was like, so what about that one thing that you've been, kind of hiding from? That at the time, because at the time I was still working in the matrix, so to speak. And basically what happened was I noticed that I had formed PTSD from some of the things that I had been through previously. I guess like just a brief overview. I just lived with some people who were unbalanced, so to speak. And it kind of made me really imbalanced within myself. And then we had some things that happened, which I go into in my book, and I really don't want to go into now because there's a whole ass trigger warning with that stuff. But some stuff happened, and I didn't realize until I was working, or my manager, he had taken and he banged on something, and it unnerved me. I was not okay. Like I had to take like 45 seconds and like bring it all back in because I almost started to cry. Like I went back to just like this really not so great place in my life that I had done I thought I had done so much work to kind of release. And I ended up a couple of weeks later like calling the person being like, hey, do you realize that like this moment has really like messed me up? Like it doesn't stop the love that I have for you, but like you really messed me up. So basically some of the ways that I do shadow work myself and some of the ways that like I teach shadow work is mind you, when I did shadow work, I didn't know the first time, I didn't know that I was doing shadow work. I just thought like me and my mirror were having a whole moment, and I cried. I ugly cried. It was bad. It was bad. But I really just thought this was just like something that happened, and I ended up not long afterwards meeting someone who taught shadow work, and they were starting their own shadow work course, and I was like, yeah, like I want in on it. And that's really where I learned some of the techniques that I use, some of the techniques that I use, and some of them I've just picked up throughout time. That being said, one of the ways that you can do shadow work is through mirror work. So mirror work is basically, I've heard it said like so many different ways. Like I've heard some people who are like, get butt naked and stand in front of the mirror and face yourself. I really don't know. I'm not about that life. Like, if I'm in front of the mirror, it's a butt naked. It's a different story. We're not gonna get into that one, but it's a completely different story. This girl is loving on herself. I am not deep diving unless I'm trying to dive into myself. We're not gonna talk about that though. Anyways, there's mirror work, and this is basically confronting yourself in the mirror and talking to yourself. Probably add here that you can write a letter to yourself before you start. That way you kind of have talking points. Light yourself a candle as well, and that'll help to be able to transmute the energy from something kind of icky into something more positive. When done properly. You ugly cry. You get to watch yourself, and it's like, ugh. But one thing when I first did it, I noticed that inner child, it was like I was standing face to face with that 5-year-old child who didn't quite understand what was going on in her world and trust. This girl's been through some stuff in her life. But we all have. And I think sometimes, unfortunately, we kind of discredit ourselves and other people. You know, we look at someone and we think, oh, well, they can't possibly know what this is like because they've never dealt with blah, 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 blah. Well, you don't necessarily know what someone else has dealt with or how that thing could affect somebody else. And I know it's like, excuse me, for me, that was not something that was easy for me to kind of just be like, whatever, you know, because I've had people who straight up, I've had people who I considered friends, be like jealous of me, or like they've gone through things and I'm just like, boo boo, come join my side of the world. Come go through some of the things I've been through. You know, it's just so, as I said, mirror work is definitely one of those things. One thing I always love is journaling. Ooh, that is dark, baby. We're gonna work it. We'll work it. We'll figure it out. But one of the things that really, like, I do is journaling. And when I say journaling, I mean, I actually have two different journals that I use for shadow work. One I use right before bed, basically every day. And then the other one is anytime I feel like something icky is actually affecting me, like, oh my God, this is actually making me feel some type of way, like, why am I feeling this type of way? Where does this come from? And that's really the basis of shadow work, is finding out where this behavior, where this thought, where any of this really comes from. Where does it stem from? What happened to make it start? You know, why don't I feel worthy of doing the things that I want to do that are deep within my soul? You know, and you might go back and find out that, well, when you were 5, you wanted to be an astronaut and you were told there were no black astronauts. You know, or whatever the case may have been. Which I don't think I've ever heard of a black astronaut. I've heard of, like, the black woman who helped save NASA's booty holes. But we're not gonna talk about that. But it's not something that, you know, you hear a lot about. So, but that could have been something that really affected you. Somebody saying, oh, well, nobody in the family has done that. So you internalize that, oh, well, if nobody else has done it, what makes me think that I'm good enough to do it? Somebody coming in, you know, Steve Harvey talks about telling your big dreams to small-minded people and how this can really affect you from being able to truly live out your dreams. Because if it was given to them, they'd be doing it. But obviously it wasn't given to them. It was your purpose. It was something that was laid in your heart to do, right? So, and I think too many times we do allow these aspects or things that other people have said to truly come in and kind of affect us. So that's one way that I do my shadow work, is by, like I said, having a journal, kind of like seeing, okay, well, this is how I feel about this. and then going as deep as I can to figure out why I feel like that. And I find that that helps me just to keep kind of like a running journal, a running thought behind it. Another one, as I said, I have 2 journals. So the other one that I use is actually for love. I write down things I love about myself, things I admire about myself. You know, like, I love the fact that I'm a really bold person. I have no problem with being like, oh, boo-boo. I'm like the worst when I'm out in public. I feel so sorry for my best friend sometimes, because somebody will look at me wrong and be like, what are you looking at? What are you looking at? Do you have a problem? Or somebody bumps into me. Did your mom not teach you manners? Obviously, moms aren't teaching manners anymore, because look at the children. Yes. Yes. I am that person in public. Don't play. Don't play. I am not your mama. But I will beat you and take you back to your mama, because obviously she didn't do the job right. There's a reason my daddy don't leave the house. She's crazy and mean sometimes. But I'm honestly one of the sweetest people you ever meet. Just act like you got some manners. So these are a couple of ways. Another way that I have been doing lately with my shadow work is I record videos, and I'll keep them because I record a lot. So I will go through, I don't know what we're doing here, but you know, if you've watched me for a while, we never know what we're doing. We just do it. But because I record a lot, so I'll go through my videos at least once a month, kind of clean out my, whatever it's called, gallery, and see how it is that I can, you know, how it is that things were then and how it is that things have improved. So that's another way that I really found has helped me. And honestly, shadow work doesn't have to be anything that somebody else does. The point is to shadow work, and like my point for making my book and all of this is just the fact that, number one, we have to dive into our shadow. We have to find out where these things come from. One thing that I've seen, and I like really talk to parents a lot about this, is I talk to parents about when it comes to their kids and their self-exploration. I think many times we as adults and parents tend to forget that these children are going to grow up to be someone's lover, and the last thing you want is a lover with a shadow. I don't think people realize, but like when your kid discovers their body, because we all had that moment, we're like, hey, what is this? This belongs to me. Ooh, that feels like, whoa, that has sensation to it. And we might do these things a little younger than what our parents think. And I think sometimes too often we forget what it's like to be a kid once we get on the other side. That being said, I see too many times parents freak out on their kids, and this itself causes a shadow. So if you find yourself not being able to be open, so what I mean by this is being able to express to your partner whatever it is that you desire. Contrary to modern belief, that's truly what sexual liberation is. Being able to say, oh no, I don't like it there, not my no-no square, or I like it there. Whichever. I'd be part of it. You know, it's just these little things that we do and that have happened throughout our lives that really affect us. And too many times we're just not, we don't know. We're not taught these things. And I honestly am starting to wonder why we aren't taught certain things. My next video that I do for metaphysics and makeup is going to be talking about astrology, but I wonder why we aren't taught about astrology. I wonder why we aren't taught about shadow work. And then another thing that gets to me is that we go to a therapist who should know how to walk us through these things, who should know how to help us to be able to be our best selves. But it seems like too many times that's not their main priority. That's not what they actually care about. They just want you to come back in and take whatever treatment or medicine that they want you to take. But how is that actually helping you? Like, that was something that me and my therapist, we had like this battle with for a while, because she was like, okay, well, lady, you need some help, some medical attention. My doctor was like, lady, you need to take some meds. And I was like, you're crazy, right? Because when none of my doctors, and this is something that like bothered me, right, is because if this is the point where I realized there's a hair hanging off my chin. Don't look, but there's a hair on my chin. I don't know how long it's there for. You've been here for a while, then you also know that I don't necessarily believe in, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't actually believe in mental health issues. The reason being is because I believe that most people who have mental health issues are spiritually inclined, and they're not taught how to use their gifts. We're taught that we're crazy instead of, oh no, like, you're not crazy. You just have like this type of gift, and like everybody in the family has it, you know, because a lot of the times the genetics are just like spiritual gifts that have been passed along from generation to generation. But we've been taught so many times that, oh, you're crazy. And you know, I didn't quite understand when I was younger, because my doctor was like, you bipolar. And I was like, my mom was like, no, nope. And I was like, Mom, have you not met me? Like, you live with me. She was like, nope. And I was like, okay. I thought she was crazy, but then as I got older and I started to see like, oh, wait, my mom was actually right. Like, I wasn't crazy. There really was just parts of myself that I wasn't tapped into. Unfortunately, growing up Christian, you're not really taught how to hone into your gifts. You're just taught, oh, read the Bible, pray. That solves everything. And I'm not saying that like prayer doesn't work, prayer doesn't change things. Forget that. Let Donnie get into a bind. Jesus, you hear me? Not necessarily always Jesus, but like guides, heavenly hosts who keep me from doing the most. Please and thank you. Donnie needs some help. Little assistance here. She going crazy. We work too hard to keep me from going crazy. Help. You know? So, but when it comes down to it, like, that was a problem for me. Not knowing how to use my gifts, not knowing who I was or how to be me. And no one ever taught me. It was literally just go read the Bible, which in itself caused a shadow when I came to this side of the world, right? Because I found tarot. For those who don't know, I am a tarot reader as well. That was actually why I had started a second YouTube channel specifically for this, because, and I decided I'm not going to build two YouTube channels at the same time. But part of the reason why I had done that is because hidden throughout this channel, you guys can't see it, but my clients, their readings are on here, because that's how I do my readings. And I do it that way for a couple of different reasons. Number one, it's easier for me to maintain the connection when I start channeling, and like that way you don't think that I'm rude. It also, another part of the reason, as you'll see in this next little stretch, is because Dottie talks a lot. I feel like helps you in the long run as well, because say you have a question, or like there was something that was in the reading, but like you don't remember what it was. Well, I'll be honest, once the reading's over with, it goes bloop. Half the time it's bloop. It's not even me speaking. I'm just here. Okay? I'm just the pretty face that Spirit likes to use to get its message through. So, I don't remember what I said. something about something. I catch like bits and pieces.
So
of
the
it.
other
Like,
reason why I record my readings as opposed to just doing a face-to-face is because I always end up getting caught in conversation. So it's supposed to be a 30-minute long reading will end up being 2 hours. And I don't charge per minute or anything like that. So it ends up being more energy wasted than what it should be.
But I decided that we were just gonna do it all together. But there was a shadow attached to that, wasn't it? I feel like there was a reason why I said any of that. You know what, y'all? This is Dottie. Welcome to my life. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I was talking about like spirituality and how that kind of like caused a shadow because I read tarot and like basically my whole life, oh, that's like the devil's thing. And like I had started reading tarot when I was younger. And my mom didn't necessarily have like a huge issue with it. She was like, you have to find your own path in the world. I'm not going to tell you. My aunt, on the other hand, she was like, there's sin in your room. I was like, okay, lady. Mind you, I love my aunt. Bless her soul. Know that she's on the other side. But my aunt was literally called the psychic lady. Like, people would call the house and be like, hey, can we talk to the psychic lady? And like, when I started doing this, I was like, oh, this is what I get for laughing at that old lady. Now I am that old lady. Only thing I'm not old. I can't even lie, y'all. But that was something that I really had to work through because you're taught this whole time like anything that's not of God is the devil. And then I started to realize that like no. And then I started to dive even deeper into learning about God and learning about the Bible. And the more I learned about the Bible, the more I was like, oh, these people are, pardon my French, but these people are kind of ignorant. Because they don't look for themselves, and we're no longer in the age of, I believe that's what it is. It's like, no, look it up for yourself. The information's right there, boo-boo. Like, nothing's hidden anymore. And I think we need to stop perpetuating the idea and the belief that everything is, we just can't know. How could we possibly know? Because that's not going to work for us anymore. Like, a lot of people are about to be smack dab with reality and then not be able to accept it because they weren't able to accept it when it like presented itself to them the first time. Because there were so many things. I remember talking or reading this. I was watching this video, and I remember I was like, why is he saying that like he believes in God, but he's not a Christian? And then I found out, you know, and I'm not here to necessarily change anybody's beliefs or whatever, but if you're gonna stick around, just know that I'm not a Christian, but I believe full-heartedly in the Bible. Moving on. But this really was a problem for me. You know, feeling like I was just gonna go to hell, even though I didn't necessarily believe in hell anymore. I still felt like, oh my God, I'm gonna go to hell. My mom's gonna hate me. And then I started to realize that was all just like this illusion, this thing that had been put on me. And it wasn't the truth. It wasn't the truth. It wasn't my truth. It wasn't any truth. So I really had to change my views and my perspective on things. And that's where I found that shadow work really helped me to be able to see like, oh, you know, there's nothing wrong with what it is that I'm doing. Another thing is that like learning that like how awesome I am, you know. So before we close this out, and one thing that is a must when it comes to shadow work, and I feel like people do not talk enough about this, and it's a problem. People don't talk about before and after care when it comes to shadow work, and there is such thing as before and after care, because you have to think shadow work is basically like popping a pimple, right? When you pop a pimple, when you pop a pimple, you should honestly put some astringent or something on top of it to stop the wound from being open, getting reinfected, causing it to fester, like all these really gross things. But the thing is that we aren't taught, and I feel like too many people are out here, oh yeah, do your shadow work. And then people are doing their shadow work and ending up like crazier afterwards because they're not taught. You need to meditate before you do shadow work and after you do shadow work. You need to make sure that you keep yourself water on hand before, after, and during. Huge. You need to take a shower afterwards. And the most important thing that no one talks about is the fact that you need to eat something sweet. Another thing that I do is centering when it comes to shadow work. I always do my best to center afterwards. So you might be asking like, oh, okay, so like why water? So water helps you to move energy, right? And it's basically like, to me, it's like popping a pimple, allowing all that juice to just spread across your face, and then not cleaning it up afterwards. Now, all of a sudden, you come back and you have a whole heap of, zits in that one spot because you didn't clean it up, right? And that's basically what happens but this happens inside, and it starts to make you feel down and starts to make you feel out. So that's a huge way to really work yourself through is to drink some water. Another thing, like I said, with the whole taking a shower thing. So I always think about it like this, like bringing stuff to the surface, right? Like if you've ever seen anybody work with like silver or gold, they have to heat it up. When they heat it up, it brings up all the impurities. Hold on, guys. When they heat it up, it brings up all the impurities to the top. And then you skim it off. Well, just think about your aura like that, right? You're bringing all this gunk to the top, and you need to make sure that you skim it off. And one of the easiest ways to do this is with water. Believe it or not, water is so cleansing on a spiritual level and really helps to conduct energy and get you moving forward, moving in the right direction. So it's really, really important that you drink the water. When it comes to centering, in case you don't know what it is that I'm talking about, how I center, and I'm sure there's like other ways and other people call it other things. But how I center is I run through my 5 senses, right? So say I start with touch, like right now, I feel the pillow underneath me. I feel my dress. I feel my mascara wand that just fell on the floor. No, it fell on my legs. But the mascara wand, and I run, like, if it's my first sense, I'll do 5 things that I can feel. 4 things I can see. 3 things I can smell. 2 things I can hear. 1 thing I can taste. And you can kind of do this any order that you want. And if you need to do more than just 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, do it. Take in as much as you can with your senses, and this will help you to get back into your body, because this does really, if you've ever done shadow work and you've done it right, it hurts and it sucks. If you're really doing shadow work the right way, you're, like I've said many times, you will know you're doing it right if you ugly cry. And I'm not just like, oh, that was sad. What happened to you? Like, ugly cry. Which is something we don't get in our society or when we go to therapist or whatever. Or at least I didn't. I was just like, who are you and why are we talking? So when it comes to something sweet, like if you look into medically what strawberries do, medically, strawberries actually have a grounding agent to them. You can look it up. I'm not crazy. But yeah, so eating something sweet will help boost your serotonin. Then helping your feel-good hormones, basically. Then helping you to feel better and not necessarily feel like crap. Because, like I said, it's going to take you down. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and lie. And the point is to find out why it is that we're acting or doing or behaving the way that it is that we do. Why don't you feel worthy? Why don't you have confidence? Why is it that the color blue scares you? Like, some people, they're just wired wrong. But, and if the color blue scares you, bless your soul, baby. I'm glad that I'm not wearing blue today. I mean, I can understand it, though, because I'm afraid of mascots. You show up in a mascot uniform, I'm gonna beat you. So I feel like I should probably explain this one, right? So when I was 4 years old, we went to Disneyland. My cousin wanted to hug Minnie Mouse. Minnie Mouse decided she wanted to hug me. Do I look like I'm okay? I am not okay. It's been some years since, and I still do not do the mascots. Alrighty. Like, plain and simple, I'm gonna beat you. I'm gonna beat you down. Minnie Mouse really scarred me, guys. That's it. That's one part of my shadow that as much as I dive, I can't seem to get that out of there. It scared me. So wait, I want water, meditation. Meditation's gonna help you just to kind of bring yourself back in. Either way. Shower, cleansing. Add some salt to that shower. But yeah, add some salt. Really helps. Salt is grounding as well. How to dive into shadow work. Yeah. And there are other forms of shadow work that I didn't get into, that we can talk about later on. If you have any questions, definitely let me know down below, because I'm always here. I'm always here. And sometimes I'm queer. Okay, in case you haven't met Dottie, hi, I'm Dottie. I'm the brand star. Alrighty, you guys. Definitely let me know how you like this video, and you have a great day. Bye.